buyer's agent,
There we go.
seller's agent. We've got a very rare species, Lisa Kramer, who's done both. Let's talk about the differences.
Morning.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa, thank
Hey,
you so
Bill.
much for joining us. Lisa Kramer, a current buyer's agent working in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, but previously a sales agent at Sotheby's, another couple of big household names in the industry. Like you said, Mark, there's not too many where we can get both sides of the coin. So we've got a few questions to ask you, Lisa.
Sure, and thank you for having me this morning. Much appreciated, Mark and Billy. Pleased to be here.
Absolute pleasure.
We're going to get the inside goss from both sides.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Just quick fire, Mark?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Lisa, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I suppose the first sort of question I've got for you is, what made you get into the industry? And do you want to tell us a little bit about where it all started for you?
Sure. So I've been in Australia now for almost 14 years. Prior to that, I was in South Africa and I was in the travel industry, which is similar in many ways to real estate. For me, it was always about the people, helping people, booking people into the right hotels, on the right aircraft, in the right seat, in the right restaurant, on the right cruise ship. Came to Australia and my next passion, I thought travel was a bit of a hard industry to get into in Australia. People were very tech savvy, internet, booking holidays on the internet. And for me to build up my travel career, I just thought, I'd done that for over 25 years in South Africa. So I decided to follow my next passion, and that was real estate. So I first actually worked as a buyer's agent over 10 years ago at Cohen Handler. And then, to be honest, the concept of a buyer's agent was foreign in the Australian market. It was a hard, tough sell. People couldn't really understand or appreciate the value of a buyer's agent. Whereas this was very different in the US, where real estate for decades has been transacting with both a buyer's and a sales agent. And I think there are many benefits to this model. And that was my sort of journey into real estate as a buyer's agent. And then not long after started as a buyer's agent, I then went into sales. It was what I had always traditionally done, and it just seemed like an easy transition into the sales role of real estate. And I really enjoyed it. But for me, sales transactional. It was more about my vendors, their families, and helping them. And sometimes when I was called in and asked my opinion, I would never really be the agent that would say, especially in this heated market, you must sell. It's a great time to be selling. I would listen to the reasons why they were looking to sell. And if it didn't make sense to me, I would say to them, I don't think you should be selling. So it was always about doing the right thing for my vendors. Every sales transaction that I did, honestly say, there was a history and a story. There was a story behind each and every one of them. The families, the relationships I had built, how I met them, how they got to me. It was just a beautiful journey, and I thank each and every one of my vendors, past vendors, for entrusting me with, one of their biggest assets. And the transition into a buyer's agent role came about, first of all, an imbalance. Why should a vendor, a seller, be represented by a sales agent, but there's no representation for the buyer? The sales agent has the vendor's best interests at heart and works for the vendor. but the
On a
buyer
big
is,
transaction, it's a big number, isn't it? Like, it's not like you're selling a Mars bar. These are huge ticket items and not to be represented. It's true.
so that's one of the reasons. And I worked at Sotheby's more recently alongside Mark and Barry Goldman, household names. And I would say the past 25, more or less, the past 25 sales transactions that we did, about 15 were through buyer's agents.
Wow.
So a lot of buyers we saw were, they'd been frustrated, they've been gazumped, they felt overwhelmed, stressed, and these are selling prior to auction. They're selling pre-market. That's before they're even going to market. And there's a
Yep.
lot of off-market transactions. As a buyer, wouldn't you want to be exposed to all of the markets, the pre-markets, to have a buyer's agent at your side every step of the way? You can spend more time with your families, your kids on Saturday, extramural activities. We don't have that a buyer does have.
Cool.
Removed from that. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that with our expertise and experience, especially having been on the sales side, we can have that, add that value add to our buyers, advise them accurately. We know the true worth, the true value of a property.
Yep.
We do our due diligence, the spade work. We're on the ground 24/7.
So,
and we're
Lisa,
active 24/7.
quick question. Someone's Christopher has thrown a question out saying, "What are your thoughts of Cohen Handler?"
I think they were the forerunners in buyers here in Australia, and I take my hat off to them. Simon Cohen saw opportunity, he saw a niche in the market, and he was a go-getter. Ben Handler is now doing courses. For anyone who's looking to be a buyer's agent, I would highly recommend Ben Handler's knowledge and experience, and yes, to actually engage with him on that level for sure, 100%. And I
And
think
also, and sorry, you're saying?
no. So I've only got positive things to say about Cohen Handler.
There you go.
And
There you go, Chris.
good on Simon Cohen.
Yeah, and good morning, Lisa Novak. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Luke Moroney, who's a buyer's agent. Lisa, another question. Why are you guys the only buyer's agents? Because I find that it seems like a lot of the people in your team, like the Goldmans, have been real thoroughbred selling agents for good durations before they've moved over to being buyer's agent. Do you reckon that gives you guys the edge? Because a lot of buyer's agents, it seems, are only in real estate as a real estate agent for a short time or no time. But you guys have got probably combined almost 50 years under your belt, maybe even more. It's an advantage.
Correct. Definitely an advantage. I think the relationships, even with real estate agents over the years, for sure. The amount of properties we have appraised that are coming onto the market, we probably have walked through them already. We know them really, really well. We know our market really well. We have the experience and expertise in the Sydney's eastern suburbs, particularly as well with prestige property. And buyers are outnumbering sellers 10-1 in Sydney right now. You've got the influx of international buyers, and they are vying for real estate here, in the eastern suburbs, and it's highly, highly, highly competitive. Our negotiation skills. So definitely, I do think that does give us, especially I think if the market was to get a bit more tough, I think we would definitely have the edge on a buyer's agent that perhaps had not been in sales as well, for sure.
On the back of Lisa's question there, do you think, and Mark, you might be able to assist with this, do you think there's more buyers agents maybe working in the east than other parts of Sydney? Or are you doing more transactions, in a certain area rather than others?
So I'm based in Sydney's eastern suburbs, and in fact, I was going to ask you that question, Mark. If on the northern beaches, is buyers advocacy there now at the moment, or are you not really? What are you experiencing?
Yeah, it is. It's I would say it's people that are experiencing, people that value that particular field, and people that are short of time are the two types of cats that would employ a buyer's agent. A lot of people enjoy the process of acting as a buyer and negotiating as a buyer and going through open house, but a lot of people, it's sort of the hairs stick up on the back of their neck when they think about it. And I guess they're the types of guys that just time poor, the process doesn't excite them, and they're like, let's employ a pro.
Yeah.
Correct. And sometimes we have found, buyers have to go on their own journey to source, attend the auctions, and often when they have missed out at auction after auction or being gazumped, even prior to auction, and when they feel that stress and that frustration, they're ready to sign up.
It's only then you sort of get a gauge of the value, right? Otherwise you feel like, what are they doing that I can't?
Well, we have to add value because we're being paid. We have to add value. Otherwise, why would you pay, right? There has to be the value add. And we know that we do provide that. So,
yeah.
And Lisa, just on the back of Lisa Novak's question, what are your thoughts on the eastern suburbs and northern beaches? What are your thoughts on the direction of the property market? Because you would be advocating buyers all the time on what the market's doing. What do you reckon the market's doing?
It's an interesting one. So for family homes, there's still, lack of stock and lots of buyers out there. Prices are still incredibly strong. But even in the apartment markets at the moment, I'm seeing lots of apartments selling and selling quickly. I think the good properties will always sell and sell well. Coming up to the elections, I would say if you were a buyer, it's probably a good time to be out there looking. When there's a bit of fear, I say transact.
Like a shark. Yeah.
People get fearful, but if you're a buyer, it could be a fantastic opportunity. With what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia, there's, people predicting all sorts of things. But if you're a buyer,
when there's blood in the water like a shark, when there's blood in the water like a shark, it's an opportunistic time.
Correct. I agree. But it's still strong at the moment.
It's that. Billy, any questions before we wind out?
Yeah, at least I've got to ask, which one do you prefer? Take away the money.
Billy or Mark?
Do you prefer?
It's an easy one. I prefer the buyer's advocacy role. For me, first and foremost, it's about people. I love serving people, and this is really more aligned with myself, my personality. Anyone that knows me, I think, would understand that and appreciate that. And your home it's one of the most important decisions you're going to make. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the family nucleus is. It's so important, and I want to be right by your side during the process and helping, and that's really what it's about for me. So,
yeah.
Where's there more money made?
Interestingly enough, I think because of the competitiveness in the sales role, a lot of sales agents here in the eastern suburbs were, I think, discounting fees, paying for certain things, and I think the buyers agents were actually earning more money than
really
agents. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's not for me. It's not a money thing. It's about helping people.
It's helping people. So if people need your services, Lisa Kramer is the lady to contact, buyer's agent. Now, will you do eastern suburbs? What other areas of Sydney would you do?
Mark, I'm only focusing on where I know where my market knowledge is, so it's the eastern suburbs. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Reach out to the lovely Lisa. And how's social media going for you? So you're one of the champions on social media. I don't really see buyers agents as much on social media, so you're going to smash that sector.
I hope so, but I have to give a shout out to Jonathan Creek. And I came to Jonathan Creek because of the Novaks. And I'm not afraid of the camera, but sometimes you second guess yourself. You kind of think, well, I'm going to say this or that. It's just about being authentic and getting out there and share and doing stories and videos. And Jonathan has really, really helped me. So huge shout out to yourselves. Appreciate the value that you give all of us in real estate. And I don't think you really probably understand behind the scenes how much you actually do add to a lot of real estate agents and just the general population, with your market knowledge. I'm always learning from you guys. So huge thanks.
Thank you, legend. Thank you. And
Thank
everyone
you.
to watching, thank you very much for today. Lisa, good luck in your new career. Enjoy. It's not that new.
Thank
You've been
you.
doing it now for 6 months. How long have you been doing it?
Since the end of, no, not even 6 months. I transitioned end of November when I sold my last property here in Dover Heights. So it hasn't even been 6 months yet. So very exciting.
Enjoy the new career. Lisa Kramer, buyer's agent. Thank you very much.
you.
Billy Drury, Swami, real estate agent. Thank you. And everyone, have a great week. And hopefully it's going to stop raining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Cheers. Thanks,
See you guys.
Cheers.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Still live, Mark.
How?
I don't know. The rain's still coming though.